Hey, hello, sacred friend. Welcome back. I am Lori Andros, and welcome to this episode of the Luminary Life Podcast. Today, we are going to sink into conversation around the energy of cultivating the courage to be seen. Yes, this is a big energy that is showing up right now in lots of different ways. And quite honestly, this episode is prompted by some experiences that I had over the past couple of weeks. And I want to share with you some of the ways that I moved through what is showing up. But I also want to lean into this energy of being seen and what that's really looking like at this time, and some of the ways that we may find ourselves challenged as we step into our wisdom, our light, our medicine, our gifts, the ways that we are called to show up during this very changing time. So, I want to invite you to get comfortable. And if you have a crystal or stone that you want to have with you for this conversation today, I invite you to do that. I have my big ol' smoky with me. As I sat down, I could feel that this was not going to be an easy conversation for me because it's a bit tender. It's something that has been showing up in a very, very real way for me. And I wanted to feel supported. And smoky quartz, and in particular, this smoky, has always been an incredible ally for finding the right ways of expressing what I'm feeling in a tender way and on a tender level. And so I wanted to call it in, ask it to be here with us and to join us for this conversation. So if you want to hit pause, go grab a crystal, come on back, get a cup of tea, all the things, let yourself settle in. And we're going to sink into this conversation around cultivating the courage to be seen. All right. So I want to invite you to first just tune into that phrase and let yourself speak it. Let yourself feel it in your body. Cultivating the courage to be seen. And you may want to play with that a little bit, maybe play with it in a couple different phrase or like wording order, and let yourself feel it in your body. I have the courage to be seen. I am courageously seen. Like, let yourself just really feel it and breathe in that energy. And notice what happens in your body. I am courageously seen. I am cultivating the courage to be seen. Does your body relax and expand? Does it feel at ease? Or does it tense up in some way or another? What happens for you? Do you hold your breath? Do you notice your breath comes up into your shoulders rather than deep down into your belly? Do you notice that you want to walk away from the conversation? Do you notice that you feel frozen in the moment? Do you recognize stories and patterns of thought rippling through about why it's not safe, why it's not time, why you're not ready, why whatever, fill in that blank? Just notice, no judgment around it. Just let yourself be present with it and observe. Let your body just be aware of what is there. Be aware of what you experience about the idea of being seen in your gifts, your magic, your medicine, your wisdom. Sharing it with others, sharing it in the world, walking every day with it confidently, courageously. Yeah. Things show up for us. And a big part of being able to stand in the wisdom that we walk with is about recognizing what we're feeling and experiencing and letting our bodies give us a clue as to what is going on. One of my big tells is feeling exhausted, bone deep burnout exhaustion. And the phrase that usually comes after that is, I'm done. I'm just done. And I felt that last week in such a big way. You know, there was kind of this perfect dance of energy through last week. Last week, we had a massive winter snowstorm here in Wisconsin, and it caused like everything to shut down for several days. And one of the things there's a couple things I love about big storms, and especially like late winter, early spring storms, is that it creates a space for everything to pause. It creates space for us to listen within. It creates space for us to hunker down. And it creates space for us to tune into what we're maybe not otherwise paying attention to. It forces us to pause rather than push through and just keep going, which is something that I think is a really big cultural narrative. We just keep pushing through. We just keep ignoring the deeper emotions, the deeper challenges, the ways that our bodies are resisting change, growth, healing, embodiment. And in order to walk with our wisdom, in order to share it brilliantly, to stand in our light, we need to be fully embodied. And that means our body needs to be on board with what we're doing. It needs to be supported. It needs to be given space to process what we're experiencing and feeling. And that beautiful storm that shut everything down for a couple of days created a wonderful container for things to begin to bubble up for me. And that's exactly what happened. Things just started bubbling up. Doubts, insecurities, worries, uncertainties, all of these little things that I really had been pushing through, ignoring, pretending weren't really there in this undercurrent of my life. Can you relate? Maybe it didn't happen last week, but maybe it's something that's happened to you in the past, or maybe it's something that will show up for you in the coming days, weeks, months, years. But this is a natural part of reaching an edge of growth, a growth edge. It's a natural part of moving into a new, we'll say level, for lack of a better word, of being seen or allowing our expression of self to be seen. And I think that because of the times we're living in, and because of the ways our world around us is shifting and changing and evolving, and we are being invited to rise in our light, I think we're going to notice these times showing up. And I think this is one of those places where, for many of us, it can stop us. We can cause ourselves to stop. We can pause. We can stop. We can pull back. We can hide. We can choose to hide. Why? Because it's safe. It's familiar. We know what life looks like through that lens. But what we don't know is what life looks like through the lens of being embodied, walking our path of wisdom, letting our light be seen, letting ourselves stretch the edges of what it means to show up and be seen. We all have edges of comfort around that, right? We have edges of where we know we're safe and familiar, and this is how things roll. And when we push against that edge, that's when things get to be a little uncomfortable. That's when they're unfamiliar. And right now, we're in a place where a lot of us are pushing those edges, and they're bouncing back a little bit. There's a little tension that shows up. The body resists, our mind resists, our thoughts go down old rabbit holes. We have cultural stories that still echo in our body. This is where we are being asked to dance right now. We're being invited to dance in this place of trusting our wisdom at yet another level, trusting our light and our capacity at yet another level, and knowing that it is safe for us to be seen, even if the world is a little wonky or a lot wonky, and reflecting that back to us. Oh, I feel a little embarrassed, I guess, in some ways, even sharing this. And quite frankly, I think I've recorded this about 7 times and not made it through the entire conversation or this piece entirely because I can feel how tender it is for me to share it. But one of the things that showed up for me was a desire to just put everything on pause. Now, if you've been in my world for a little bit, you know that every summer I take a summer slowdown. I spend time in the woods. I let myself be really nurtured and nourished by the land. Spend time with Chris and the girls, and we just have so much fun just slowing down. But this felt different than the slowdown. It felt like it may be time to put everything on pause, with the exception of obviously my paid programs and stuff like that. But I could feel myself just wanting to completely retract, retreat, step back from everything. And because over the years I know these cycles and waves show up. I know that this is part of the process. But there was something so strong about the way I was feeling that I decided to lean in for support. And I actually got a couple shamanic healing sessions. And I want to share with you a little bit about what emerged through that and the gift actually of being supported in that way. And I think one of the things that's really important and how this ripples into our world and our conversation about these changing times and what we need to be cultivating within ourselves. Within both of these sessions, there was a space created for me to give myself permission to pause, to slow down, to honor my body differently. And that actually it surprised me and it created the deepest exhale I have ever felt. It was like everything I felt like I was gripping and holding tightly to was able to be released. My body softened. I was able to be in the place of consideration of what would life look like if I shifted direction, if I shook things up, if I chose to let everything pause for a period of time and step back. It was like I was able to just be in this softness around it rather than the fear of needing to make an uncomfortable decision. And that exhale, the like bone deep exhale around that felt incredibly refreshing. It was spacious. It was expansive. And with these sessions, it came a couple suggestions, a couple awarenesses, and many awarenesses, many deep, deep, deep layers of awareness. But one of them was just around the the spring clean energy that my home and my space were ready for, that my soul was ready for. And I gave myself permission to implement a couple new rituals, just simple daily rituals, the way I begin the day and the way I close the day. And it had a lot to do with just a gentle space clearing and letting myself just greet my home, greet my space, greet myself with a nice, gentle, energetic refresh. And that was just amazing. The next thing that showed up was around spending time in nature. Now, I talk about that a lot. You know, this is a big part of our conversation here. Get out in nature, spend time in nature. And, I notice through the winter, even though I get outside every day, I take the girls for a walk every day, I don't spend time in nature in the same ways that I do in spring, summer, and fall. And I realized that I had actually retreated from getting out to some of my favorite places to go for walks and spend time, in and connected with the earth. So I began making new opportunities to do that, to step out. And one of the places that Chris and I went was a local waterfall. Actually, I went there twice. I went there twice in the last week to spend time connecting and just being present with the flowing water. It's spring. We are now a week and a half after that big snowstorm, and the water is just flowing so fast. So obviously the waterfall is got a really great current, and the falls are just stunning right now. It was like the energy broke, the energy shifted. And I think there's, a couple things that showed up with this. One, it was that permission piece that was given from myself to myself, the great exhale that triggered within my soul, within my body, within my mind. And then the connection with nature, that rejuvenating energy that comes with taking a pause in nature, not going out and feeling like we need to do something, but rather just be. There's a spaciousness, an openness that happens in that process. Now, in addition to that, we moved through the spring equinox. We've had a lot of planetary things happening, and we're in the place of the melt here in Wisconsin. All of the snow is really dwindling quickly. And the energy, the air is really warming. And so there's an opening that's happening. All of that feels like it's naturally the natural world aligning, or falling, like happening in the same timing as what things are happening within myself. But I had a deep awareness that part of the edge that I was meeting right now was around my own edge of being seen and feeling safe in that process. And, I think we can look at that a lot of different ways. And through the shamanic world and the work that I experienced through this time, and work that I've done throughout my life, I know that those pauses, those places where we hesitate to be seen in who we are, the truth of who we are, the wisdom we walk with, is often related to things from past lives, from this lifetime, the experiences that we have, all of it mirroring and being remembered in our body. So as we step forward, we pause. Those pauses aren't an opportunity to push harder, to push our bodies in a way that creates difficulty for it, because that will inevitably show up in one way or another. Rather, they're a point to pause, to do some deeper work, to do some healing, to be supported. As we move through the rest of this month, we really only have a couple days left in March. We're still supported by Crystal Ally Spirit Quartz. And this ally is inviting us to lean into the support of our spirit family, to let them hold us as we navigate things that have been challenging and difficult in our lives, to let them hold space for us so that we can rise into the wisdom that we carry, so we can walk with our medicine courageously and confidently, and so that we can be courageously seen. Now, one of the beautiful, like kind of punctuated notes that showed up for me as I was really letting everything just reorganize in my body, nurturing the messages and the insights that came forward, letting myself move through the discovery and the experience and embodiment of the healing that unfolded. The punctuated moment came yesterday. Actually, there were two of them. The first was that I took the girls out for their walk, and we go to the same place every day. So this is a familiar place. We have, kind of a movement through the space. And as we were moving through, I spotted something different. And this something different was an owl. And it sat watching us. We paused and we just stood present with it. And it was present with us, completely present. And we kept a nice wide, space, and we moved a little bit around it. And it did all the things to let us know, like, hey, I'm here. I'm taking up my space. I am being seen. I am being seen. Owls aren't typically hanging out at 8 o'clock in the morning. They're active at night. This is usually their pause, their rest time. This felt very different. And it felt like the owl was giving a message. The message being, trust what you see, trust what you hear, trust what you know, trust your wisdom, and cultivate the courage to be seen in expected and unexpected ways. Cultivate the courage to be seen in expected and unexpected ways. Yeah, this was an unexpected way. Seeing that owl, it was unexpected. I want to share that wisdom, that message with you, because I feel like it is important for us to be present and embody that within ourselves. I feel like Owl's message, yes, it was specific to me and in that moment and the time and the experience that we had together. But I feel like it wants to be something lived, embodied, and shared with you. And so I invite you to embody and receive that message for yourself, to let yourself embody and receive the wisdom of knowing how important and how on time it is for you to cultivate the capacity and the courage to be seen in your unique expression. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode and that you're finding some insight and resonance with this. And if this lands deeply for you, I want to invite you to drop a message below. If something showed up that just goes, oh, yes, this, this is what it sparked for me, please drop a note in the comments. I'd love to hear. And if you feel like this would be helpful for a friend, family member, loved one, pass it on, share it with them. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Be sure to like the video. It helps with the algorithms. It helps with being seen and sharing these videos with others. And if you feel like you are called to go deeper, I will be reopening enrollment for the Sanctuary Circle around the summer solstice. And right now, between now and then, I have a wait list open. So I'll put a link down below. You can pop over there and get on the wait list. People on the wait list will receive some extra special bits along the way. So pop on over there, sign up, get on the wait list, and I look forward to walking this path with you in a beautiful, meaningful, sacred, seen, and ongoing way. Have a beautiful day, sacred friend. And as always, shine brightly. Bye for now.